My parents claimed they didn't have money for my college fees, but they secretly invested in my brother's business instead. I ran away, and now my mom is threatening to leave my dad if I don't return home. I, 22M, never imagined I'd be where I am today, living out of my car, working 2 jobs, and dodging calls from my family. But life has a way of throwing curveballs, and mine came in the form of a betrayal so deep it shattered everything I thought I knew about my parents and my place in our family. It all started with a seemingly innocent conversation about college. I'd just been accepted to my dream school, a prestigious university known for its engineering program. I was over the moon, already picturing myself in the dorms, making new friends, and diving into challenging coursework. But when I broached the subject of tuition with my parents, their reaction wasn't what I expected. "I'm sorry, son," my father said, his face a mask of regret. "But we just don't have the money for college right now. The economy's been tough, and with your brother's medical bills." He trailed off, leaving the sentence hanging in the air like a guillotine over my dreams. I was stunned. We'd never been wealthy, but I'd always assumed my parents had been saving for my education. Hadn't they always preached about the importance of higher learning? Hadn't they pushed me to excel in school, to aim for the best colleges? But what about my college fund? I stammered, feeling like the floor was dropping out from under me. "I thought you guys had been saving since I was little." My mother's eyes darted away, unable to meet mine. "We had to use that money for emergencies, sweetie." "I'm so sorry." I nodded numbly, trying to process this information. My brother's medical bills. It made sense, I supposed. He'd been diagnosed with a chronic condition a few years back, and I knew treatment was expensive. But still, the disappointment was crushing. "Maybe you could take out loans," my father suggested half-heartedly. "Or start at community college and transfer later." I nodded again, already feeling the weight of potential debt pressing down on me. Yeah, I'll figure something out." But as the weeks passed and I researched my options, a gnawing sense of unease began to grow in my gut. Something about the whole situation felt off. My parents had always been supportive of my academic pursuits, but now they seemed almost dismissive of my concerns about financing my education. Then came the day that changed everything. I was home alone, searching for an important document in my father's home office, when I stumbled across a file I wasn't meant to see. At first, I thought it was just more medical paperwork for my brother. But as I skimmed the contents, my blood ran cold. It wasn't a medical bill, it was an investment contract. My parents had poured a substantial sum, easily enough to cover my first year of tuition and then some, into my brother's fledgling tech startup. The date on the document was just 2 weeks before our conversation about my college fund. My hands shook as I read through the details. They'd lied to me. Straight to my face, they'd lied about not having money for my education while secretly bankrolling my brother's business venture. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow, leaving me gasping for air. I don't know how long I sat there, staring at that damning piece of paper. My mind raced, trying to make sense of it all. Had I always been the lesser son in their eyes? Was my future worth less than my brother's entrepreneurial dreams? When I heard the front door open, signaling my parents' return, I hastily shoved the file back where I'd found it. I couldn't confront them, not yet. I needed time to think, to plan. Over the next few days, I watched my parents with new eyes. Every interaction felt tainted by the knowledge of their deceit. I noticed how they'd perk up when my brother called, eagerly discussing his business plans. Meanwhile, any mention of my college prospects was met with vague platitudes and subject changes. It all came to a head at Sunday dinner. My brother was visiting, full of excitement about his company's progress. As he regaled us with tales of potential investors and market projections, I felt something inside me snap. "So how much did Mom and Dad invest in your startup?" I asked, my voice cutting through the chatter like a knife. The table fell silent. My brother's eyes widened in surprise, darting between me and our parents. "Ah, what do you mean?" I turned to face my parents, noting the panic blooming on their faces. "You heard me. How much of my college fund did you pour into his business?" My father's face hardened. That's none of your concern. What we do with our money is our business. Your business? I echoed, my voice rising. It became my business when you told me you couldn't afford my tuition, when you suggested I take out loans or give up on my dream school, all while you were secretly funding his pipe dreams. My mother reached out, trying to placate me. Sweetie, it's not like that. We believe in your brother's vision. And what about my vision? I interrupted, years of pent-up resentment spilling out. What about my future? Or does that not matter as long as the golden child gets what he wants? My brother had the decency to look uncomfortable. Hey, I didn't know about any of this. If I had known it was your college money. Oh, save it, I snapped. You've always been their favorite. I'm just surprised they finally stopped pretending otherwise. I stood up, my chair scraping loudly against the floor. You know what? Keep your money, keep your lies. I'm done being the afterthought in this family. With that, I stormed out, ignoring their calls for me to come back. I packed a bag, emptied my meager savings account, and drove off into the night. No destination in mind, just an overwhelming need to get away from the suffocating weight of betrayal. The first few weeks were a blur of cheap motels and fast food, punctuated by frantic calls and texts from my parents. I ignored them all, too hurt and angry to even consider their explanations or apologies. Eventually, reality set in. I couldn't run forever. I needed a plan, a way to support myself and somehow salvage my dreams of higher education. I ended up in a small town a few states over, where I managed to land 2 part-time jobs, one in a local garage and another waiting tables at a diner. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. For the first time in my life, I was truly on my own, making my own decisions without the specter of family expectations looming over me. It was terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure. Months passed. I saved every penny I could, determined to build my own path to college. It would take longer, sure, but I'd do it on my own terms. No strings attached, no family politics to navigate. Then, out of the blue, my phone lit up with a call from my mother. I almost ignored it, as I had dozens of times before. But something, intuition, perhaps, made me answer. Hello, I said cautiously, bracing myself for tears or recriminations. Instead, my mother's voice came through clear and determined. I'm leaving your father. I nearly dropped the phone in shock. What? Why? Because of you, she said simply. Because I can't stand by and watch him destroy our family with his favoritism and lies. My head spun. This was the last thing I'd expected. Mom, you don't have to. Yes, I do, she interrupted. I should have done it years ago. I should have stood up for you, protected you from his manipulations. I failed you as a mother and I'm so sorry. Tears pricked at my eyes, a complex mix of emotions swirling in my chest. It's not all on you, Mom. You didn't make him invest in that startup. She sighed heavily. No, but I didn't stop him either. I knew it was wrong, using your college fund like that. I convinced myself it was for the best, that your brother's success would somehow benefit all of us in the long run. But I was wrong, and I've regretted it every day since you left. We talked for hours, really talked, in a way we never had before. She told me about years of financial mismanagement, of my father's obsession with appearances and his dreams of vicarious success through my brother. She admitted to her own complicity, her failure to stand up for what was right. I want to make it right, she said finally. I'm selling the house, liquidating everything I can. Half of it is rightfully yours. It should have been your college fund all along. The other half, well, I hope it's enough for me to start over. I was speechless. Part of me wanted to refuse the money, to cling to my hard-won independence. But another part recognized this for what it was, a genuine attempt at atonement, a chance to rebuild our relationship on more honest footing. What about Dad? I asked, realizing I hadn't heard his perspective in all this. My mother's voice hardened. He made his choice a long time ago. He can live with the consequences. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. My mother followed through on her promise, selling the family home and dividing the proceeds. My father, faced with the collapse of his carefully constructed facade, retreated into angry silence. My brother, to his credit, seemed genuinely remorseful when he learned the full extent of what had happened. He offered to repay the investment, but I refused. That money was tainted in my eyes. With my share of the house sale, I was able to enroll in a local college's engineering program. It wasn't my original dream school, but it was a solid program, and more importantly, it was a fresh start. My mother moved to the same town, renting a small apartment and finding work as a bookkeeper. Our relationship is still a work in progress, fraught with years of unspoken resentments and newly exposed truths. But we're trying, really trying, to build something new and honest between us. As for my father and brother? That's more complicated. My brother has reached out a few times, awkward attempts at reconciliation that I'm not quite ready to accept. My father remains stubbornly unrepentant, convinced that he did what was best for the family. I haven't spoken to him since that last explosive dinner. Sometimes, in the quiet moments between classes or during late-night study sessions, I find myself marveling at how much my life has changed in just a year. The pain of betrayal still lingers, a dull ache that flares up in unexpected moments. But there's also a sense of pride, of hard-won wisdom, that I wouldn't trade for anything. I've learned that family isn't just about blood ties or shared history. It's about trust, respect, and the courage to stand up for what's right, even when it means standing against those you love. I've learned that it's never too late to chart a new course, to demand honesty and fairness in your relationships. Most of all, I've learned that my worth isn't determined by anyone else's perception or investment. It's something I carry within myself, nurtured by my own efforts and choices. As I sit here in my dorm room, textbooks spread out before me, and a future full of possibilities ahead, I can't help but feel a bittersweet sense of gratitude for the painful journey that brought me here. It wasn't the path I would have chosen, but it's the one that taught me the most valuable lessons. To anyone out there facing similar struggles with family expectations and hidden agendas, I say this. Trust your instincts. Demand the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. And never, ever let someone else's vision for your life overshadow your own dreams. After all, the only investment that truly matters is the one you make in yourself. P.S. If you enjoyed this tale of family drama and financial deception, why not subscribe? Unlike my college fund, I promise your support won't mysteriously disappear into someone else's startup.